This is Mark Whitten.
This is Adam MacArthur.
This is Ann Yatko.
This is Molly Chung.
Hey everybody, this is Michael Yurchak.
This is Brianna Roberts.
This is Daquan Wilshire.
This is Rico Fajardo, and you're watching.
And you're listening to Spoiler Force Podcast. Set your heart ablaze.
All right, so this is episode 143 of Spoiler Force Podcast. My name is Ricky, and thank you for tuning in. This week's guest is an artist that I met here in Texas. She was actually the first artist that I bought merch from when I went to Nishi Fest last year in the spring. She does canvas-styled art. As you can see in the back here, there's the Chifuyu art here and the Akaza art here. It is done by my guest here, M of Rekless Artz. Thank you so much for doing this.
I actually literally saw the canvas in the back and I was like, oh, look at it.
Yeah. You know, because I wanted to let fans know like how we actually met, because when I first met you at Nishi Fest in the spring of 2022, I actually just recently moved here to Texas for like not even a month.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so when me and my cousin went to Nishi Fest, I saw your setup because you had a corner table.
Yeah.
And, I'm a big sucker for like canvas styled art, especially like black and white art. So yes. I saw the Akaza. I was like, damn it, I was hooked. So I bought it.
You're like, I gotta get it.
Yeah. And then like the Tokyo Revengers, I had that commissioned by you as well. Yep. You were nice enough to send me another one because the first one there was like damage to it.
I felt so sad.
I felt so bad. I was like, how do I tell her like there's damage to this without like sounding like a pissed off customer? Like I wasn't mad, but like I didn't want to come off like oh you know this is broken, so what do I do? So I waited and I was like, I'm just gonna give her the honest truth, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Then you sent me another one within like a week, so thank you for that. I still have the damage, but I couldn't throw it out. I still have it. It's just in a
you're like,
drawer.
I can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's happened. What? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's funny because like when I messaged you, I was like, hey, what colored paint do you use? Because I was gonna color in like the damage on the canvas.
And I literally was like, why? just point blank, why? Why are you asking that?
But yeah, like that Chifuyu panel right there is actually one of my favorites in the manga. Mm-hmm. And then he's my favorite character too. But to you though, like you've been again nice enough to send me that second one there, and I've met you several times at like other cons besides Nishi Fest. I met you at I forgot, it was a small one that I met you. I forget, it was at a school.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was little. I don't even remember
very
which one it was. Yeah,
I met you at that one, and then I met you at Kamea-con.
Yes.
I think that was the last time I saw you before you went back to school and all of that.
Yeah. Oh, it's been a while then.
Yeah, it has been. It's crazy how busy we all are, right?
Yeah, truly.
So,
but
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say Nishi Fest. I keep waiting to see when they're going to do another one, because it's probably one of the best cons like for this area. It's just like those one-day cons just do so much better than a full weekend con. Yeah,
it does. I think honestly, it's because like it's the idea that it's a one-day thing, so you have to go in there and find what you want. And
yeah. I sold out. I think it was the craziest thing that had ever happened to me, but I sold out within 4 hours, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I guess I'd leave. I don't know. I was like, I guess I gotta go. I don't know. But it was crazy.
I do like that what you do at your table though. I mean, a lot of artists do this too, where they do either commissions or make new art, but you actually had like extra canvases and brought your markers and stuff as well to just draw stuff on the side in case you got it done and then put it up for sale right away.
No, my favorite I think is like I'll be doing it, like I'll be painting it and someone's just staring at me and I'm like, yes, and they go, can I buy that one? And I'm like, can I finish it? I'm like, you can, but like just give me a second.
She like you can buy it half off, like it's just half done,
Yeah. Well, and then I always tell people, I'm like, okay, well I have to varnish it, so it's gonna have to sit overnight, so you can't have it until tomorrow. And they're like, oh. I'm like, you can't wait? You're suddenly not gonna be here tomorrow?
I
No.
actually had that happen to a friend, an artist friend of mine, who they commissioned something, and they never came the next day. They paid him and everything, and they never came to pick it up.
No.
So like, my friend didn't even know what to do with it. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I have this inventory, but it's not for anyone. It's commissioned." So they never picked it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I
Nothing
had
like
it.
that's happened to you, right?
Well, I had one person, she bought it before it was even finished. And I was like, okay, we'll just come back tomorrow and I'll have it for you. And she's like, well, I'll be in a different cosplay. And I'm like, you're fine. I'm good with faces. I'll remember you. I'm waiting all day and we're like nearing the hour of when it's closing. I didn't get any of her information. And then I felt like such a rookie. I was like, oh gosh, I'm not a true artist. I should have gotten her information. And, so I could message her and be like, hey, your canvas is here and ready and paid for. But she came like within the last 30 minutes. And I was like, oh, thank God. And so now I have them write down their names and their numbers. Like, no, I will hunt you down. Don't pay for this and leave.
But I guess we can go to this for how you got started. Again, you do canvas style art or manga-esque art.
Yeah.
I don't think you've done,
Yeah.
or at least I haven't seen you do any colors. Have you done colored art as well?
I have. They take a really long time. And I mean, they turn out really cool because screen caps are so much fun to do. But the time and effort, I just don't have that much time on my hands to commit. So I switched to just black and white. And honestly, the whole black and white thing started just because, like, as you get older, you don't necessarily want all of your anime posters up in every aspect of your house. So I was trying to find art that people would want to hang up, like as an older anime fan. So that like when they're like 30, they can still have their, manga all over their walls, but it's not like these bright, colorful things that don't match with anything. So that was kind of the black and white idea. And then just painting in general, I did art for a long time, but I guess I never thought that you could make a living from it. And so I just didn't really put a lot of focus onto it. And I tried to put my energy elsewhere. And then, of course, when the pandemic started, I was like, well, I've got the time. And I started my art business, and I am so glad I did.
It seems like the pandemic really like I don't want to say it was a big awakening for everyone, but like a lot of creatives took advantage of that time off. I mean, I'm pretty sure the majority of people were at home because of the pandemic. So, like me, I started the podcast before the pandemic, but as everything happened, I saw like a lot of people come and go from like doing content creating to doing like TikToks, even seeing people attempt the OnlyFans stuff because that shit blew up quick too, and everyone like took advantage of the internet. So a lot of people just came and went. But what's crazy is I like seeing that folks who continued their passions even after. I mean, the pandemic. I don't know if the pandemic's actually done, but like after everything tried to come back to normalcy, like after everyone went back to work and everything, like there's either people dropped their creative passions and just went back to regular life, or some people like you and me, like we continued our passions. So I think it's really neat to see that it took something like it sounds messed up, but it took something like the pandemic to make people realize like I want to chase my dreams, or I want to pursue something that I've always wanted to do, and not just be, just doing an office job, or like, kind of playing it safe. So I'm glad that you're able to continue to do your passions and follow the things that you wanted to do with art.
Yeah, I think with stuff like that, a lot of people, when you have a 9-to-5 job, you get so stuck in the loop. And so you just never have time to really like think about maybe what you might want to pursue. And the pandemic literally forced us to be at home and like think about other things that we were interested in. So I think like, yeah, definitely that's the positive out of the whole negative. That's certainly a positive.
So you said you were painting for a long time. Was this like, when you were like from childhood till now, or was this, it's something you picked up during high school?
I used to draw literally nothing but Sailor Moon, all through like elementary, middle school. Like, I don't know why, she was like my comfort character to draw. And and then I did like the whole like advanced art in high school kind of thing. So it was mainly just drawing. And then I was like, okay, I don't like have time for art classes anymore. I need to kind of like focus on stuff that I'm going to actually have a career in one day. Maybe that's when I got into painting again.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was because of my sister-in-law, but I didn't like start focusing a lot on it until the pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever consider like trying to do like graphic design or anything like that? I know like a lot of artists kind of gear towards that when it comes to having a career in art.
Yeah, I hate the idea of only doing projects for other people for the rest of my life. Like painting manga panels for people, like doing commissions like that. I don't feel like it's me not being able to paint what I want. I'm still painting what I want. But like when it comes to graphic design, like that's very like strict rules. And I'm like, I don't know if I want that. That's why I'm Rekless. That's literally the name. No rules.
Well, that answers the next question I was going to ask you, like how you came up with Rekless Artz. So that's really cool. You know, no boundaries, no rules. You know, I think I respect it a lot to be able to do your craft without having someone like looking over your shoulder or telling you like, oh no, that's not right. Don't do that.
Right.
So, yeah,
Well,
I think it's. Oh, good. I'm sorry.
No, I said no. You're good. I was gonna say it's also because prior to doing the manga panels, I mainly just cosplayed. So that's how I was in the community outside of just doing art. And my cosplay name is Pretty Rekless, and it's after the band, The Pretty Rekless. And so then once I created my art, I was like, I'm gonna stick to this whole Rekless theme, and that's where we are.
Honestly, I didn't know you cosplayed for a while too. 'Cause, like I followed just your art page for I think the majority of the year. Then I saw you like share or like cross promote your other pages too. So I followed your cosplay page. I was like, oh, she actually cosplays too. And then like you also go. Not I think what some of the more recent cons you went to, you actually went to, as a exhibitor, and then you also cosplayed at those events as well, right?
Yes. Yeah, I went to Ecchi Expo, and I feel like the best way you're gonna make sales and connect with people, honestly, is if you cosplay at your booth. So I was like, I gotta amp it up.
Yeah, you guys, you and your crew, you guys cosplayed what Chainsaw Man, right?
Yeah, and I got a lot of I hate the character, but you look great. I was like, oh, thank you. I was like, I know most people do.
No, as for like the manga panels that you do draw or commission for people, were there certain like I guess a certain genre or certain series that you initially wanted to just do, or do you just kind of pick and chose what you wanted?
When I originally started, there was My Hero Con right before the pandemic hit. And I was actually attending as a cosplay guest, and I just happened to bring some of the canvases that I had done. So they were mainly My Hero because I was definitely hyper fixated on it. So I brought those, and I was like, if they sell, this might be like a sign to do something with it. And they ended up all selling, and I was like, oh, okay. So I can actually do something with this. And then it kind of went into like, okay, well, let me paint other manga panels. Like I don't need to just stick to My Hero. I can venture out to all of my other favorite mangas. But I think my favorite one to draw for is probably either Demon Slayer or Haikyuu.
Nice. Yeah, those are definitely like the ones that's geared towards the younger crowd too. So if they see stuff like that, they'll definitely pick it up. I remember asking you this at a con too, like when you do panels and people commission you, you don't mind spoilers, right? Because there are there's some panels that people be like, hey, can you draw this one for me? And it's like for me, I would be like, oh man, like I couldn't do it because it's spoilers right there.
Yeah. No, it's so funny because they'll be like, okay, I really want to commission this, but it's a spoiler. And I'm like, listen, I would be out of a job if I said no to you. So I gotta power through. But someone sent me, they like casually dropped a death scene in my chat. And I was like, oh
my God.
I was like, I just started this and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And they're like, what's the price for this? And I'm over here like crying. And I'm like, it's just this much. And then a tip because you ruined me emotionally. Yeah, no, I can't. I have to let spoilers slide for sure because I mean, people like manga readers especially, they're way ahead of where the anime's at. So like I can't cut it off to, only what I've seen.
Is there a specific anime that you're, I guess, focused on right now as well? I know with My Hero Con coming up too, like I'm pretty sure you're getting ready for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But is that
But
what you're?
yeah, I actually reread the entire like all of the chapters the other day because I was really trying to go through and find like manga panels that you don't really see unless you've read it. Because there's just so many good ones, especially with all the fight scenes in it. But yeah, it's mainly My Hero right now, and then I have about 10 commissions I'm trying to finish up before I go back to school.
Nice. How long does it usually take you? Depending, does it depend like on the I guess the size of the canvas then?
Yeah, it depends on the size and the level of detail because I mean some mangas are definitely simpler when it comes to the art. Like Hunter x Hunter has pretty simple art. But then once you start getting into like battle scenes or even Tokyo Ghoul ones take me the longest. But I would say probably 5 to 6 hours. I feel like is a good amount of time for a commission. So it just depends.
And then you finish off with the gloss on top of it, right?
Yes, a nice sheen.
Yeah, because like I noticed that like because I used to get other, I guess, canvas style art too, but no one,
Mhm.
like only like one or two people did it, but it wasn't how you do yours. Because at least like at least with the Chifuyu one, you can see it because the background's all black, so like
Yeah.
you can see like that glimmer there. But then when I had my other ones back in Michigan, like some of the artists didn't even do that, which I don't mind, but I think it's cool that you actually top it off with that so that it kind of stands out.
Yeah, well, it's to also like prevents it from yellowing over time. And
Okay.
so like with it being black and white, I'm like, well, I don't want to risk the white looking discolored in a few years. So definitely varnish is the way to go. And then a lot of people, if they varnish it, I just don't think they pick the gloss, but I kind of like the way it looks.
Do you only just work on white canvases? Do you do like the black canvases too?
I've done it on all of my canvases. Like I make sure to do the gloss varnish and I do a few layers just so I can make sure it lasts.
I guess with you before you go back to school and finishing these commissions, was there any commission that you did that was, I guess, difficult? Like what was the hardest one that you've done?
Hmm.
Aside from the Tokyo Ghoul.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say the hardest one I've ever done is on my Instagram, and it took me weeks. I think one of the other ones that's standing out is there's a scene of Twice in My Hero Academia, and I think there's probably about 20 of him on the
Okay.
canvas, and that I don't know if it was necessarily it's not hard to draw. It just they kind of all started meshing together like the longer I looked at it, and I would just have to take breaks and be like, I'm not seeing anything that's happening right now. And I would try to be focusing on one line at a time, and I'm like, oh. But right now, no, all of my commissions are relatively easy. There's a few I've never done before, and those always kind of they make me a little nervous, but they also excite me because I love doing new mangas. But no, they're relatively easy right now.
Has there been any that I guess a panel or a canvas that or commission that you've done that made you like intrigued into the series? Like I'm sure that you've had some customers that like wanted you to draw a series you've never heard before and probably piqued your interest.
Yeah, there was one guy, he's commissioned me quite a few times, and I love it because he's always asking me for things that nobody ever asks for. So I'm like, okay, so it's a new thing every time I'm doing it. But he had me do a Goblin Slayer manga panel, and that it just looked so sick. I was like, I have to read this. This is awesome.
Yeah, and it literally is a pretty sick manga too.
It is. I was like, I mean, I don't know what I was signing up for when I picked this up, but okay.
Have you watched the anime for Goblin Slayer?
No,
Oh.
I
Yeah.
I've heard so many things. So I'm like, maybe I'll just like chill over here with the manga silently.
it I gotta say the animation's really good. It's just it's that
Mhm.
first episode that kind of
It's
throws
so
you off.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember like when I first watched it, it was right after Demon Slayer had just finished, and then I was just like, man, Goblin Slayer, is that like the I guess the trending theme now? Everything's gonna be, something Slayer.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I watched it and I was like, oh, it's like a D&D campaign, and these little kids in the cave, and then bam, I was like, yeah, I can't. I was so caught off guard. I'm like, I'm in the living room watching this. My folks are with me, and they're like, what kind of shit are you watching? I'm like, I don't even know. This is the first time I watched this, and so it was like, man, it was a
No.
first bad impression, but then like the show overall is great, but it's just I was
Right.
not
Right.
expecting that.
See, I would have just turned around to them and been like, see, this is what I mean. Anime is not for kids. Because this
Like,
is what's in it.
yeah, because like my folks they'll watch sometimes they'll watch anime with me depending if it
Mhm.
on what it is. They liked it when I watched Dragon Ball or like Naruto, but I guess
Right.
I was watching it so much at home during that time. They were just like they just assumed that it was another adventure type series, and yeah, they were not ready for that either. So
You're like, it's a surprise for the whole family. Yeah, no, I've also people will do like, can you draw anything? And I'm like, you're
Oh.
scaring me. I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And they're like, like anything. And I'm like, yes, I think. I don't know. Why don't you just message me and I'll tell you if I'll do it or not? And they're like, well, I don't know. I don't want to message you and make you uncomfortable. And I'm like, you're making me uncomfortable right now.
It's worse right now.
Yeah. I'm like, you taking a long time to allude what is happening. I just need you to be blunt. I need you to just say it. But no, I meet so many good people at cons, truly.
You don't do those kind of commissions, do you? I mean, this is something like that's been a topic on my show, like with other artists, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that adult or very like sex-oriented art sells at these conventions. Like, no, as much as people don't want to admit it, it does. Like, sex sells, and like a lot of the degenerates out there, they do buy a lot of the hentai stuff, a lot of the lewd stuff, So I guess the question for you is, have you been asked to do that, or have you even commissioned something like that before?
I think the lewdest I've ever done is definitely for ecchi, because it is an 18 plus convention. That's exactly what these people are looking for. Like, they want their favorite waifu on a canvas, but mine is definitely not anywhere like compared to what everything else is in the con room. I'm like looking left and right, like, whoa. And then I told people, I'm like, I'll have lewd canvases, and they don't even look lewd. They look PG-13. And everyone else's is just full on. And I'm like, oh no, I didn't do that. I would though. No one's been bold enough to commission it. And then I just don't think I'm ready to roll up with a whole cart of nude canvases and just start hanging them.
I mean, especially like when you're at like a kid-friendly event too, like
rolls up to My Hero Con.
My god.
They'd be like, get out. Absolutely,
for sure. No. I do think that's what's like neat about conventions too. Like they do let you know that there are certain restrictions on the art that you do sell. I mean, not too strict, but like just be aware that there are kids coming by and like looking at your artwork. Like my cousin, he has a booth too. His art by Kooky. He just started selling or doing exhibitor tables for his artwork last year, and we were at the fall Nishi Fest, and I was helping him at his table. So like this family comes by and they're looking at like the booth next to us, and then on both sides they look at one booth, they don't really see much, and then they kind of glimpse at us a little bit, but when they go to the Lego booth next to us, they looked at that, and then the dad and the son looked at our table, and the son's like, "Hey, Dad, can I get that one?" And like the dad's like, "No," he covers his kids' eyes, like, "You can't get that one." Like, so like my cousin, yeah, because my cousin does like I guess you could say it's somewhat lewd art. It's just very curvy waifus.
I was about to say drawn very dramatically, kind of type deal. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not too etchy, but then like it's there. It's
Oh, yeah.
that it's for the people who want waifus. So like it's just funny seeing that interaction between the father and son. Like, oh no, you can't get that. You know,
like I hate to break it to you, kid, you're not my target audience. Yeah, no, I've had people ask if I had anything looter, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but you can commission me. And they're like, ah. I think they just want to see it. Like they want to see it up. But nah. At kid conventions, like kid-friendly conventions, I have to make sure I put my canvases without reach, because I mean they will come up and just and I'm like, can you not put your hands?
Yeah, I saw that at your table, like the whole. I think you had a don't touch sign, right? Like,
yeah,
you have it on the stand, but then like it's literally on the table where it's like you can touch it and stuff like that. So
yeah,
that is great that you did put up a sign like that. I mean, kids are not terrible,
no.
but they do like just touch your stuff and knock it over and don't care.
Oh, there was one, and she was like 13, but she knocked over like 2. I don't know. She's too close to the table and like hit it, and they went flying. And
oh my God.
I was just like, just staring at her. But then I went full mom, and I was like, back away from the table right now, please. And she's just like,
got her shook.
Yeah, I was like, you're okay. I just need you to not be so close. She just like would run past my table for the rest of the convention.
Do you only do I guess Dallas-based conventions, or have you gone out of state at all for any other cons?
I've done Wasabi Con, which is in Florida, and that was a lot of fun. And I've done Spa Con, which was in Arkansas. And I'm doing Mississippi Anime Fest in March.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I try to go to ones within driving distance. Florida obviously wasn't. I flew, but it was a fun time.
You don't normally go by yourself, right? Because I know that I met your husband back at Kamea.
Yeah.
He goes with you, right?
He does. If he can't, like, so for the out of state ones, he for sure comes with me every time. If it's within the state, I'll just like text one of my friends and be like, you want a free badge? And they're like, okay. And so they'll come along. So it just depends. I prefer my husband coming, but I think it's just because, I don't know, he doesn't bother me all weekend. He's just there. He's so chill. I'm like, you're my perfect counterpart.
But, yeah, because like, when I met him at the first time at KamehaCon, he was just like, standing around in the back, just like, I guess looking like security at your booth, just very relaxed, like nothing too serious or anything like that. But then it was cool meeting him. But I do want to let fans know too, if you don't mind, like when I first met him, and then like you told me like, yeah, his dad's here as a guest, I'm like, who's his dad? And then when you told me who his dad was, I was like, holy shit. Like I didn't believe you. I had to ask him. I was like, that's your dad? He's like, yeah, that's my dad. So for fans and followers who don't know, M's father-in-law is Kyle, how do you say? I can't
Hebert.
Hebert, the voice of Gohan in Fatgum. So like it was just so crazy to me, because that weekend when you told me that, I had a friend, another podcast friend, who literally just recorded an episode with Kyle, and
Aww.
it was the craziest thing. So like when I met him at the convention, it was just funny, because like just seeing him walk by, like I'm not used to seeing like a lot of the guests just come in and out like that at a convention like that. So I literally walked past him one point, and he had like a plate of pizza in his hand, and I spoke with him briefly, and I told him like he was on my friend's podcast too. I tried to get him on one time, or at least I told him I had one too, but I haven't reached out to him yet. But I just wanted fans and followers to know, like, small world. I was not expecting that.
Yeah,
it was the coolest thing I've ever experienced. Like, just to know that, like, having you on the show too, like just being able to say like, oh yeah, you guys made it just so casual. Like oh yeah, it's just him. But as a
Well,
fan, it's just like, it's, oh my
right.
God, it's Gohan is your dad.
I know. Well, and then he comes over because he's texting Rayleigh and he's like, where's her table at? Like, let me come say hi. So he comes over and I told my friends next to me because I was boothing with friends on either side of me. And I was like, okay, Rayleigh's stepdad is about to like come over here, so chill. Y'all be on your best behavior. And then I don't think they believed me either. So he comes over and they're just like, and one of my friends comes out and goes, Kyle, I have gifts for you. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, Kyle, yes, this is my friend. Sorry about her. She's fine. But no, he's a good sport. He loves cons. And I mean, the fans make it. So it means a lot to him.
If you want to start your own podcast like Spoiler Force, then sign up with Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout has helped hundreds of thousands of users like me to begin their podcasting journey. With easy-to-use tools, you can effectively get your podcast onto different platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and more. You can view your stats, create audio clips, and even have your own podcasting website. Buzzsprout offers ideas, tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you improve your podcast. Follow the link below, and once you sign up, you'll get a $20 Amazon gift card. This will let Buzzsprout know that I sent you and will also support Spoiler Force Podcast. If you want a simpler way to record both video and audio for your podcast, then sign up with StreamYard. StreamYard is the perfect program to create podcasts, host live streams, and even do video calls. There are many tools that can help you create and design your own personal studio. You can screen share, read live comments, and stream to different destinations like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also download your video and audio once you're done with your recording session. Follow the link below, and once you sign up with the basic or pro plan, you'll earn a $10 credit to use for StreamYard. Happy podcasting. Well, I just think it's cool that you're able to, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could do like a lot of Gohan art and like, hey, can you sign these? Like,
Yeah.
Because I did see you do that too. You had like your Lemillion one signed by Rico Fajardo as well.
Yeah, someone got it signed after they bought it from me, and I was like, let me take a picture of that because it's perfect.
Because like that's what I was planning to do with the Chifuyu one right there.
Yeah.
Because I saw Adam MacArthur at Acon, and I was just like, damn, I think it'd be really cool to just get someone to do art and sign it. So that's definitely on my list for this year if I do see him at another con. But for you, is that something that you want to kind of? I mean, I don't know if it's good etiquette to do that as an artist, but they do it at conventions anyway, where they have like people the guest sign and then they sell it. But
no. I'm very much, I want the person to buy it and then go get their personalized signature,
Okay. Yeah.
Because then they can have their name written on it and all that kind of thing, which I think is super special. And I don't know, I feel like I'd feel weird selling someone else's signature for a higher price. Like not knocking other people who do it, like more power to you, get your bag. For me personally, I don't think I could do it.
I understand that. Like, I think for me though, like if I was a vendor and getting signatures, I wouldn't sell it though. I would keep it.
Yeah, I get that for sure. I mean, but see, that's also hard to say because I always will paint a canvas and I go, okay, so this one's for me. I'm not going to sell it. And then I take it with me to the next con and I sell it. And I'm like, oh, there it goes. And so people are like, I think when they come over to my apartment, they're like expecting canvases everywhere. And we have no art on the walls. I'm like, I know, I don't even look like an artist. I'm sorry. Like, just don't look at my bare walls because I never keep any of them. So,
I mean, has there been something that you've done that you kept for yourself until you sold it?
No. I always take it with me and I sell it immediately. Like I think the longest I've had a canvas was maybe 2 weeks and then it was gone and I was like, all right, man. Well, bye.
Well, I mean, that's a good thing though, knowing that like I think as an artist, that's a good thing to know that your inventory does sell. Because I mean, sometimes when you have like excess inventory, it takes up so much space. Oh, so I think it's great for you to know that when you do go to cons, at least you'll sell out. But my question is, how do you gauge that? Like depending on how many canvases you do make, do you just estimate like how much you want to make for that weekend?
Yes, it's so sad, but I kind of have to look at like each canvas what my money is going to be at. So I'll be like, okay, if I bring X amount of canvases, then I know that I will probably hit this amount of money. And I'm taking out 5 canvases at a time because I'm like, not all of them are going to sell every single time I go to a con. Like, I got to think realistically. The times I sell out, fantastic. I love it. It's the best feeling in the world. But if I don't sell out, it's okay. Like, I'm sure I'll sell it online or at a next con. But the bigger cons are always the ones where I try to bring way more canvases. So I try to do like 40 because, once I go, that's all I have to show. A lot of people, they have digital prints or they have charms and they have like necklaces and stuff like that. So they have multiple things to sell, and they can always, like, if they sell out of one thing, they have another one.
Right.
For me, I'm showing like one canvas and they're like, how many of those do you have? And I'm like, that one right there. You just take it. It's all yours. You go home with it. And so that's kind of the only, like, that's the real hang up when it comes to original art on canvas.
Have you done one where, like, I guess one that's been repeatedly selling out? Like, for example, like if you had like a UG panel or UG canvas that constantly gets bought out, do you go back to those ones too?
Do you know what constantly sells? I actually have it with me.
Oh, Draken. Okay.
Yeah, all Draken canvases. I mean, they sell immediately. And
Nice.
so mainly just what I try to do is I try to pick characters that are just super popular. And then I also typically paint the characters for whatever voice actor is going to be there. That way it gives the opportunity for people to pick something up in the artist alley and then go get it signed. So I try to do that as well.
I mean, with My Hero Con coming up, are you going to try to shoot for a lot of the cast that's there? I mean, there's quite a bit. I mean, I think you can do like all 40 of your canvases based off those characters alone.
Oh, without a doubt. And I'm like, of course, so I'm going through the manga, and I mean, I am reading it and enjoying it, but also like I'm looking at it strictly as like a seller. So I'm like, no, that's horrible. Like, it's all wonderful, but I'm like having to like try to see from like the buyer's perspective on what they would want. But then you can totally see my bias because they're like, why is there 20 canvases of Bakugo? I don't know. That's weird. Why would there be 20 canvases of one character?
Why shouldn't there be 20 canvases of Bakugo,
and then they're like, do you like Endeavor? And I'm like, no. Why would you say that? Ignore the shrine of him on the table.
I gotta say, Endeavor and Bakugo are my 2 favorites in the series.
Yes.
Aside from Lemillion, but I'm a big Bakugo bias as well. I think for me, because it wasn't so much until like the second movie that I was like, all right, he's my favorite character. I mean, the movie, like, even though it's not really canon, the way how they just showcased his character growth from the second movie, it just, I was like, yeah, I'm sold. Bakugo is my favorite. I bought a Funko Pop. It's back at home, so I'm like, hopefully I get this signed one day. But Bakugo is my favorite.
Yeah, I typically love the angry characters. I think they're so funny. And then, they always get like a redemption arc later. And that's my favorite. I'm a sucker for redemption arcs. But my favorite character in My Hero is Stain.
Okay.
Yeah, he's my number one. I love him. But like, if I painted canvases of him, I don't think he'd sell. But also that might be an okay thing because then I get to keep it.
It's weird to know, like, because Stain was barely in the show. If you really look at it from like the whole overall series, he had like that small arc. He fought Deku, Ida, and Shoto for just that brief second, and then because I even spoke with the English dub actor from Rob McCollum. He was on my show not too long ago, and we were talking about like how this character's just short presence in My Hero caused a huge change in the show. Like, up until where they do fight Stain, it's kind of like the happy side of the whole school thing. Like, it's just kids going to school, competing, trying to be superheroes, and up until where they fight Stain, it's like, shit's real now. Like, you can't just play and think that you can be a superhero. Now there's lives on the line. So I think
Yep.
that's what there's like a nice niche to Stain fans, because everyone's like, he's not dead, so he's gonna come back, and we're, as manga readers, we're still kind of waiting to see when he's coming back.
As a manga reader, something happened. But no, he was also in the Vigilantes series
Yes.
as well, and that was like, they show him as a vigilante and then like the downfall, and I'm like, see, it just, like, for me, I feel like he has like a legitimate purpose, so I love him, and I love any villain that like started out with good intentions and then just kind of falls off because they get so wound up in it.
I mean, I don't blame him. Knuckle Duster like broke his nose.
Yeah.
I would be upset too. Like, you have no nose, you know, like
gotta have a reason to start, you know. No nose. That's a pretty good reason.
like, I remember reading the volume for that, like, because I'm not completely caught up on Vigilantes, but I think I have like up to volume 7, I believe. But then when I did read that arc, I was like, holy crap, like an origin for Stain, you know, like you get to see him before. And like
Hall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I like Vigilante. I hope they animate Vigilantes one day, because I think it's great to like tie in those characters. I mean, you get to see a lot of the pro heroes that don't really get that kind of shine in the main series.
Yes.
So I think it's really cool to see that what Vigilantes has done is just kind of showcase the story or the world of My Hero before what it is now in the main storyline. And I do hope that maybe Deku meets I'm drawing a blank on his name already, but the main character for Vigilantes.
Oh yeah, that would be so cool.
I hope Deku meets him, because they're both All Might fans. But I don't know, man. Based where the manga is going now, right now for My Hero, I don't think it will. But maybe at the end, maybe some sort of like, hey, you know, I'm an All Might fan too, you know, and maybe that'll be a nice little cameo there.
Right. I think it's like 370 chapters, but when I was rereading it, I was like, wow, this started out so happy, and look where we are now. Everyone is like missing limbs, has bruises. I'm like, oh no. And it's still, I think, within a year or 2 or something crazy. I think it's like 1 year.
Yeah, I think within a year, because I think it was sometime either last year or early last year, or maybe the year before, where the anime's at right now is where like that manga was at that time.
Yes.
So it's really cool to see that we're catching up in the anime, but I don't know, man. I think reading it hit a lot different than watching it, because it's just like, because it's new, you know, so it's new information. But when you're rewatching, it's like you're just expecting to see how they're going to animate the scene. I just hope that in the anime they kind of make justice with what's happening right now with Deku, you know, because like this is where he's going to start, I guess, somewhat being a vigilante or go off on his own. And I just hope they don't like make it too kid friendly. I want to see like Attack on Titan moments in this.
Yeah, that is, and that's the problem with it becoming like a mainstream family anime, is that they want it to still gear towards children. And I'm like, no, these are heavy themes. And like, if you just gloss over them, it's not going to have the same impact. Because I remember when those chapters were being released, it was heavy. And the fandom was just upset for like 3 months. and I've like, they ghost over that in the anime. I'm going to be like, it's not the same. And I don't watch the anime anymore, because I feel like they've made it too kid friendly. And so I just read the manga.
Yeah. I think one thing that did, I mean, it is, because it's a kid friendly show, like there's the you know, where Mirko loses her arm and her leg. Like I thought it was much better in the manga, like because it tears off. But in the anime, they kind of just crushed it, and I was like, "No, it's supposed to be like."
You're like, "No, I need it graphic. I need it like blown to bits." Yeah,
like having it crushed versus like having it tear off. It's more like you can see the how can I word this? Like you see like the intensity of the scene. Like Mirko is like fighting on with torn limbs, you know. So it's just little details like that affect the entire moment, and I just did not like that they just made it crushed, but I get it, censorship and stuff like that for kids and stuff like that. It just I
But
want
it would have been so good. Well, especially because we grew up in the era with Attack on Titan. So we've seen the way like battles and full-on wars play out. And so we're like, why aren't we getting the same? I want to see blood and gore.
That's been like my biggest thing with My Hero is like even with Horikoshi writing it how it is now, I'm just like a lot of the fan base wants like a good happy ending for Deku and for Bakugo and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I want someone to die. Like the whole scene with Bakugo being pierced by All For One.
Oh,
I was like, oh my god, like are they really doing it? Are they gonna like Attack on Titan Bakugo or Deku? I'm like, please, because the thing is, it's not that I have anything against the fan base. I mean, the fan base is pretty crazy as well for My Hero. It's just something like that pivotal in the show or in the manga will drastically change like the story for My Hero, because that way that even though it's a superhero theme, it's not always happy. I that's what, not to sound depressing, but like we need that realism in these in these shows, or these stories, because I just want that I just want something crazy to happen.
Your favorite characters die. That's just a fact of life. That's how it always is. I'll never forget, and like two of my other animes that I love, K Project and Bungo Stray Dogs, they just killed a character off, and I was like, what? And he was just dead, and like no warning. I knew nothing. I hadn't read the manga. I was just sitting there like, they just killed off the main character. What are they doing? And I think especially because it's a superhero show, they need to kill off someone with that impact. And the only thing though is that because this has been over only a year, it's like you are using your entire life for these one group of villains. Like there's gonna be more villains in the future. This will never not end. So it's like, that sucks if you lose your life to the first main battle you ever committed to.
You brought up K Project, and that was a series that I watched on a whim. I remember, I think I saw it on a Hulu trailer or something, and I didn't expect much of it, but man, that animation for that story or that series is so good.
Gorgeous. And it's the only anime tattoo I have.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's the was that the Red Squad, right?
Homura. Yeah,
Homura.
Yeah.
They were my favorite group too.
Yes. Yeah, no. As soon as I saw an angsty teen come out on a skateboard, I was like, oh, sold. Sold.
That's one of my favorite fight scenes though, is when I forgot their names, but the kid with the skateboard and he fought his friend that was on the blue team. Like that was such a good fight scene.
Yes. Oh, I love them. Yeah. K Project, I always, when people are like, what's your anime recommendation? I always tell them that one. And then I say, you have to get past like the first 3 episodes because your main character doesn't have a memory. So you're as confused as he is until like those past 3 episodes, then things start falling into place.
I think for me, what really caught my attention was like the whole different factions. I really enjoyed it because I think when was it the second season or was it the second season where they introduced the green faction?
Yes, Jungle.
Jungle.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
They're super cool. I love it. I love little techies. Like that's fantastic. I was like, and like you're like, are they bad? I don't really feel like anyone's necessarily bad. They're just all in their own clans.
Yeah.
And,
they're just fighting for supremacy pretty much.
Yeah, basically. They're like deciding whose color is better.
It's pretty much gang wars at this point.
Like red's better, blue's better. I'm like, oh god. But red all the way.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm a Homer team. I liked how how that squad is just they're just together. They're not like they're not like how the blue squad is, where they're all like orderly and stuff. They're just kind of chaotic and they just go on their own. So I really like that. But I think for anyone who's watching or listening, definitely go check out K Project, because that's one I recommended a couple years ago, and no one really talked to you about that one. I just kind of watched it and then I liked it. I bought the Blu-rays, and then everyone just, when folks would come over like, Ricky, what's this one? I'm like, dude, you should watch that, and no one really does. So I think that's an underrated series. But then
That
there's so
one,
much to the manga too, though.
yeah, there's so many underrated series though, just in general that never get picked up, and it's so crazy to me. Like Parasite is another one.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if that was quality and no one talked about it. And I'm like, why? It's a fantastic series. The animation is sick. The whole concept is awesome. I'm a sucker for it.
I just felt so bad when he saw his parents get killed.
Oh my.
I remember
And that
the
was
first,
like episode 5, and you're like,
yeah.
yeah.
Like my first watch of that, I was just like, really? Like we're not even halfway through, and what's gonna happen next? But like, even my sister was watching that with me, and she like, I think her favorite character was Migi, because she was like, she's like,
Yeah.
that character's awkwardly cute, but I can't pinpoint why. It just, I think it was the voice for the character, but it's just,
Yeah.
But Parasite the Maxim was definitely an underrated series for sure, and I like that it was just one season. It wasn't like some continuous series. It's just one and done. But
That's
so
my
good.
favorite. Yes,
Yeah.
it's so good. That's another one I recommend to people for sure.
I guess going back to just doing all of your art in the convention scene stuff, was there any cons that you wanted to hit up this year?
Oh, I have a list. I hope like Nishi Fest obviously announces when they're going to be doing another one, because I would love to do that again. Right now, I think my sights are set on Acon and maybe Anime Fest. We'll see. But for the most part, I think I'm going to stick with the ones I know that I have fun at, just to kind of make it a simple year. School's a lot, so I got to make sure the cons I go to are going to be enjoyable for me as well.
I mean, do you want to hit up like I guess I know there's a lot of small ones here in Texas. Like every so often they'll have like a small one, because where I'm at now, I'm in Louisville, so like at the Louisville City Mall, usually they'll have like conventions from time to time. So I don't know if you've heard about that or not.
Yeah, I think they have a little pop-up market that's happening soon, and I did apply for that. But that's the other thing, is like when you apply a lot of these things, you're applying for months in advance. Like Acon's applications open in a week, and Acon's not even until June. So if I have to make sure like I'm filling out my year now, otherwise I'll miss my opportunity. So it's a long process.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially because you got school too, so you have to really pick and choose which events you want to go to. But yeah, I think Acon. You didn't go to Acon last year, did you?
No, but they just did it where when the show was supposed to happen during the pandemic, they kept rolling over the tables.
Oh, okay, that's right.
And so they didn't even have, apps didn't even open to the general public. They already had all their tables filled.
Right. Yeah, because I went there last year for press. So like,
nice.
It was fun, but it was so packed. I think if you, I know you would sell out if you were there, but it was really packed. Like not in a bad way. It just, there was a lot of people that I wasn't expecting that much people there to be there for that whole weekend, and it was just, Artist Alley was just so insane. People buying like so much stuff, and like a lot of us were just shoulder to shoulder going in and out of the lines and stuff. So if they utilize the venue that they were at, or use the space more, hopefully that they can bring in more artists too, or focus more like one floor for artists, and then move like the guests to like a different area.
Yeah, I love the Irving Convention Center. I think it's great, but for a con like of that size, I don't know if they really should be hosting it. Because when I found out that Acon was there, I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I saw all the photos online. Everyone's packed like sardines. I was like, oop. But yeah, I feel like they could utilize it better.
I think if anything, the only thing I could say that they could have just improved a little bit on was maybe not put the guests with Artist Alley. I think that's what it was, because that's why it was so packed, because you had people who were focusing on just the artist and then people focusing on the guest. I think once they find a way to kind of maybe find a different floor for the guest, it'll even out. But that last year was just, it was good, but it was just very packed.
Yeah, I'm sure. I was like, I'm going to steer clear of this one.
I mean,
But I hardly go for fun anymore. It's usually just to work. So
is it pretty tempting though? Like when you do sell out and like you have that whole weekend to yourself at a convention to not spend money.
it's so bad because well the nice thing is at first, you know, I got to work my table. I'm one of those people that I hate leaving my table. Like I do not want to leave it under any circumstance. I like to be there in case anyone stops by. You just never know. So I try not to leave my table, but on Sundays, I try to get there a little early and do a scope around. But I mean, my money is just flying out of my bag. Like I'm not even thinking twice. Like, well, I made all this weekend here. Like, goodness. I'm like, I don't need any more stuff. Like, clearly, I don't need anything else. But that doesn't stop me on a con weekend. My money's just out of my hand.
Oh, same for me. Me and my cousin who lives with me, like every con we go to, we're like, all right, we have a budget. This is what we're gonna get. Because I mean, I already have, as you can see, my walls are already pretty filled. And then like in our living room and in his office room, like those walls are filled with art or like with figures and stuff like that. So we're trying to figure out like, you know, what can we do to not buy so much but still get what we want, and it never works out. We have like I have in my drawer on my left side over here, like it's filled with artwork, and I was telling myself like eventually maybe like as you can see like I have my frames up here. I was like maybe I'll just rotate them every once in a while.
Oh
and I never do though. Yeah, I never do. So
I have like okay, so during the pandemic we had bought a house, and so I had an entire room just dedicated to my anime prints, and I had an entire wall where it was literally like rainbow color order. Nice. And it was all of my prints. But then when we moved, I was like, well, I can't, I have no like place for me to build this, you know, anime art wall. So I bought like one of those giant portfolios, and it's filled with every print I've bought. And I mean, that thing is heavy. It weighs like 30 pounds. So I'm not allowed to buy prints anymore. Like I'm literally not allowed.
Yeah, I have to really control myself with that. Because, you know, I always tell myself that, like, you know, maybe I like supporting like artists and stuff, but I gotta control myself with prints. And then by the time I know it, I have a handful of prints, and I mean it's already like bad. Like, like I said, I moved to Texas for almost a year now, so I've already accumulated quite a bit. But back at home in Michigan, I have even more stuff that I have not brought with me down here, and it's just like, man, I have to really chill out because it's just it's insane to see how much stuff to know how much stuff I have back at here and back at Michigan. So I have to really like I have to really pick and choose my battles, but it never works.
Yeah, I was going to say you're gonna just have to get another room. Like,
oh yeah,
you have to, and you'll just make that like a whole anime room. Whatever works.
You know, I guess as we come towards an end here, I really just enjoyed our conversation. You know, just talking about your art and what you've done at cons, and even our tangents with My Hero and stuff like that. But you know, was there anything else that you wanted to mention at all, or you know, let fans know like where you'll be? I know you mentioned you'll be at My Hero Con, but was there any other conventions that you'll be at this year?
Yeah, I'm going to be at a brand new convention. I don't know if anyone else has heard about it too much yet, but it's an 18+ con, and it's called Waifu Expo, and it's here in Dallas. So I definitely recommend everyone going to that one.
Nice. I actually I applied for press passes there too, but I'm waiting for their reply. Hopefully I can if I do get press passes there, I'll see you there. So
yes, that sounds good.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, how can I guess fans and followers follow you, you know, if they want to check out your artwork and all that stuff, how can they reach you?
Yeah, sure. I'm just on Instagram, and it's Rekless REKLESS.arts, and then instead of an S with a Z, because I like to be edgy.
And I'll have your links in the show notes and description of the show. So anyone who is watching or listening, follow her her art journey as well. And if you do want to buy her stuff, you have your links in the bio as well, right, for Instagram?
Yeah, you just send me a DM. Super easy.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and again, that'll be in the show notes and description of the show. So you know, I just want to say thank you again for your time. You know, I really enjoyed this. If you ever want to come back on the show and just, you know, geek out about like My Hero or Jujutsu Kaisen or just talk about art, I'd love to have you back on.
I'm totally down. Thank you for having me.
No problem. But yes, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Spoiler Force. Make sure you follow M on Instagram as well. Thank you guys so much. This is episode 143 of Spoiler Force Podcast. Have a great day. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to give a review and rate Spoiler Force Podcast. If you want to get all Spoiler Force updates or even peeks at behind the scenes, you can join the Spoiler Force Discord community. And if you'd like to show support, give tips, recommendations, sponsorships, or any collaborations, you can email me at rickyvang92@gmail.com.